But once you start to focus, because those things will always exist, but once you start to shift and you be like, but wait, this is my life, and like, who knows how long I've got. So if we look at it like this and say, how fun is it and exciting to actually pursue stuff, whether we achieve it or not, it keeps life like interesting. So what can we do to find goals that will keep us motivated? And this is why it's important that Think Set Go is not about achieving the goal. It's about the goal pursuit. It's about just setting ideas out there and actually starting to step towards them, because people have awesome ideas and they get these feelings like, I need a career change or I need to change up something, but then they don't give themselves the space and time to actually figure out what that is. And so they can get stuck just continuing to go and keep doing what they've always done. But, you know, like I thought back when I was deciding what I want to do, you know, when I'm 80, what will I reflect back on and say, oh, I'm so glad I started that, or I'm so glad I did that.
Lauren Munday, welcome to the Schoolyard Cast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So am I. It's really, really good to have you on. Now, you are featuring in the National Education Summit in Melbourne in this August, I believe. What can you tell me about that?
Yeah, it's a massive event for really anyone in education, and mostly I went as a teacher before doing Think Set Go, but I'm speaking in the Wellbeing component, and I am sharing the stage with a lady called Amanda LaCorde, and she works with organising students. That's her educational program, and it's all about organising students, as it says. And my component is all about mindset and goal setting and how to assist students in pursuing goals and doing the thing that they might not want to do because they're at school, but giving teachers tips on how to get kids' heads in the game so that they can, you know, be their best. So together we're combining, and yeah, on the Thursday, the 28th of August, we'll be talking at the Education Summit.
Oh, that's really exciting. So the students that you have in mind for sharing that knowledge, that would be both primary and secondary, I would imagine.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Also tertiary. I don't know if there will be tertiary educators there, but It does fit with really anyone who's in the learning field.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That is really, really exciting. Well, yeah, indeed, something to look forward to. Now, only last year you published a book, Mastering Your Mind for Success. What inspired you to put pen to paper?
Well, it was like a backwards way of writing a book. I didn't actually intend to write a book. I just was jotting down all the research I was finding, all of the workshops I was designing, and I simplified it to try and make it a very easy thing for me to pick up. It would be like a 1 page per workshop type of thing that I would present the main key points of a theme when I run Think Set Go. And I used that content and made lots and lots and lots of pages of easy to understand information. Then I met a publisher, mentioned it to her, which is Amber Press, Alicia from Amber Press, and she said, actually, we need a mindset book. Can we make this for students? And so I redesigned it for students, and instead of it being for me, it's now for anyone who wants just hands-on mindset practical tips on how to do what they need to do to get things done and pursue their goals.
That is fantastic. So that would have been absolutely a whirlwind experience, I would imagine.
Oh, it was. And it was like a reminder that when you just are really interested in something and you put your head down and you just go hard and you just really commit, there'll be other things that can come from it that you didn't expect. And that was exactly that. And there's always going to be like negative things that can occur, but there's always positive things too. And all it takes sometimes is to have those conversations with, if you want something, have those conversations with people around you, because you never know who can support you. And I had no idea that this was available as an option to me until I had that conversation. I didn't have to mention it to this publisher, but I just did. I said, I've got all this content. Do you think you would want to use it? And she just happened to need it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So that's basically, because you hear a lot, especially recently, about the people talking about like manifesting scenarios or manifesting opportunities and things like that. That it seems like that that essentially just happened to you, didn't it?
Yeah, and I think the thing about manifesting is I could have sat there, written the content, and just kept it with me and hoped for the best. But by sharing it, by taking that next step to put it out there, that's where the gold was. Like, that's where the opportunity took place. So with manifestation, it's like, think about what you actually love and like or want to do more of, have more of. But then actually with that feeling of motivation or that mood that you put yourself in, that state, that will be what encourages you to take steps that then bring that like closer to you. So yes, it's like thinking it, but then it's about when you're in that state where you're excited or emotionally charged by the thing, taking the action there and then and progressing like slowly along that path will be what brings it to you, rather than just kind of like twiddling your thumbs hoping it comes, I think.
That's right. Yeah, because when you're thinking of nearly about anything in terms of like concepts and things like that, having the strategies in place where you want to have the rubber meet the road, even mentally and things like that. I can imagine that so many people that would be watching this, I know that I've felt it myself, certainly in the past and things like that. You just have a lot of those blockers, don't you?
Yeah, and that's what I've found as well. And so that's why I created Think Set Go, to tap into those three components. So whilst if you reflect back on your life, you'll see that all these different experiences have happened. Some of them, yeah, you intentionally went out to achieve. Others, it just kind of fell into your lap. Others, it could have gone this way, but it went that way. And if you really reflect on it, you're like, I don't even know how that happened. It just happened. It's about really reflecting and saying, okay, well, what did I do that worked? Then carrying that with you. Okay, so for the next thing I want to do, let's actually take some of those tools forward with us and actually use what we know works, and trust that we have the capability to do it again, and we have the capability to like implement positive tools that we have already used. Because sometimes we try to like reinvent the wheel, but actually we're doing stuff that does work. So let's try and put that in.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that makes perfect sense. Now, winding the clock back a little bit, in 2023, you founded Think Set Go, a program that offers diverse support to schools in setting and achieving goals. Are you able to elaborate a bit more on that, please?
Yes. So 2023, I had just come out of maternity leave and decided, whilst I love teaching itself, the other components of teaching, in terms of the other workload that I was doing, it was becoming a lot larger than it needed to be. Like, I just couldn't get a grasp on enjoying things like the students, how I used to have relationships with students and really make that a priority. I started to kind of get bogged down on, that there was a lot of meetings. I now had kids. I just couldn't really embrace the teaching and my own family and my career goals and everything. It was a lot. So I had to cut back on something. So I said, okay, if I can still teach, but not have to necessarily attend all the meetings or do all the planning in multiple subjects and to correct work and things like that, what can I still do? So then I thought, well, let's put all the mindset stuff that I've been studying and the leadership tools that I've been learning for many, many years and package that up to support students and athletes with the mental game when they're going through school, when they're going through life, when they're going through competition or something where they kind of got to get themselves to do what needs to be done. What's a really easy framework? And I had some footy experiences where I really struggled mentally at like a semi-elite level and thought there has to be something that can be offered to people who want to pursue goals and not be turned off by obstacles and limitations that they set for them, that, they either come up with or they appear to come up from other people or just the competition. There's so many things that can come up in our way, but there has to be a way to shift what we're focusing on. And so that's when I started to look into stuff between 2017 to 2023. And 2023, I launched Think Set Go.
That's fantastic. And you're right, just referring to what you highlighted just before, Lauren, there is a vacuum, both like in the professional world, either it be it sport or education or whatnot, where there is indeed a vacuum of that mentality or a philosophy of being able to successfully have your own change management, either like within the span of your own career or maybe looking at something else and branching towards a different area, isn't there? It's because it's quite simple just to be told, oh well, if you want to do this, undertake this course, and that's how you do it. But there's a lot more to it mentally, isn't there?
Yeah, because it's scary.
It
And
is.
it's like quite natural for some people like myself. I used to just look at worst case scenario, like what could go wrong here? Why would this not work? What would be something that would stop me here? But once you start to focus, because those things will always exist, but once you start to shift and you be like, but wait, this is my life, and like, who knows how long I've got? So if we look at it like this and say, how fun is it and exciting to actually pursue stuff, whether we achieve it or not, it keeps life like interesting. So what can we do to find goals that will keep us motivated? And this is why it's important that Think Set Go is not about achieving the goal. It's about the goal pursuit. It's about just setting ideas out there and actually starting to step towards them, because people have awesome ideas and they get these feelings like I need a career change or I need to change up something, but then they don't give themselves the space and time to actually figure out what that is. And so they can get stuck just continuing to go and keep doing what they've always done. But, like I thought back when I was deciding what I want to do, when I'm 80, what will I reflect back on and say, oh, I'm so glad I started that, or I'm so glad I did that, or at least I'm so glad I experienced that. And then I reflected and said, okay, so when I was a kid, what was I good at? What was something that energized me? What made me feel good? What was I interested in? And now what do I want to learn more about? And those 4 things, I thought, well, I liked talking to people like yourself and teaching. That's why I love teaching. And I love learning in certain areas. And imagine if I could just hone in on an area in more like depth and not have limitations. Like sometimes a university course, for example, it can limit you because it's got a course criteria, like it's things that you've got to learn. And if you can start to do some short courses and dibble and dabble in things, you can get a more holistic understanding. Yeah, and then I just thought I just looked back at what I've enjoyed and what I've been good at, and then I kind of pulled that together as well. So I feel fulfilled doing this as well.
Yeah, that's right. And it's, I guess, again, what you highlighted there about sort of strict doctrine and what could be taught in a course of universities and things like that. It's a product of your environment, isn't it? Or of a university's environment, because the coursework and the knowledge that is would be being offered to students in some circumstances might have been cutting edge or more contemporary at the time of maybe 10 years ago, rather than now where everything just seems to demand so much more flexibility, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a really good point. And look, some things do hold up, and for years that they are the right approach. But I think if you go back to like really what you want to do and what excites you and what you're good at, and you try and figure out a way to, so say I was good at basketball, and I'm trying to help a student decide what they want to do in their career, but they're good at basketball. So not me, but the student's good at basketball. You can then pull that apart and say, well, what do you like about basketball? Okay, I like the social side of it. I like the competitive side of it, or I like the routine of training. Okay, so then we look at social, competitive, and routine, and we try and find a career move or a course that encapsulates those things, because we know if that's a natural thing that person likes, then a career that involves those elements could be a good fit for that person. So as you've got to go back to like you and becoming self-aware before jumping into courses sometimes. I think that's the trick.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's therein lies a natural set of difficulty there as well, that's for sure. But I guess the payoff is that it's just so meaningful to yourself as an individual as you work through that.
Yeah, it definitely is something that takes time, and it can feel like fluffy looking back at yourself, like, what do I like, la la la. But you got to weigh up the options. You
Yep.
cannot do that and end up going down a path that doesn't really interest you, but then that's because you didn't set yourself up properly. So it's like, well, this is the think stage. So then you set yourself up properly by actually, okay, let's get a path that's at least in some direction I'm interested in. And if say you're currently doing your job and you're thinking maybe I'll try something else, you don't have to quit your job. Just start trying the other thing. And if you really want it, you'll make it fit into your life. You'll make it work. It's just, how much do you want that? I mean, I can be so quick, and I used to be more so at putting up roadblocks and being like, I can't because of this and I can't because of that.
Yep.
And I think another big barrier is the time frame. If we are trying to get something done quickly or like achieve something soon, it can put more pressure on. So if you can take away the time frame and say, look, this is what I would like, but I'm not going to set necessarily a hardcore time that this has to be completed by. This is just a path I'm going to inquire into. It just takes off that pressure.
So would you be suggesting, like, Lauren, instead of, in this context, having like deadlines or strict due dates, you'd rather, like, in turn have a series of steps or something like that that you could tick off, essentially?
Yeah, so it totally depends. Like, there was some research done on goal lines, and understanding the value in actually seeing a deadline can be really suited when you're like, depending on what stage of the goal you're at. So say if it's a big goal, like you're wanting to achieve a certain thing in your career, and you might not be able to get there straight away because there's some stepping stones in place, then knowing the deadline is there, that end goal is there, is great. But pulling back and saying, okay, but what's the thing coming up first, can be good in terms of like more achievable. But what I mean is kind of more so, if you're dabbling about, what do I want to do? I don't really know. We can sometimes put that pressure on, I want to know by the end of the year. And by saying that, it's like actually could cause more stress and frustration if you're not achieving it. So sometimes it's good to just take the deadline away. It really depends on if you're looking at ideas or if you're looking at an actual goal already.
Yeah, and that is a pertinent distinction, I feel. That, yeah, exactly right. Now, even being so busy with the new business, you still love running the workshops, don't you?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, because I love the interaction and I love seeing the light bulb go on. And so those moments are why I love the teaching aspect of Think, Set, Go, the facilitating. And I'm still, trialing out different things to see what works, what doesn't, and to read the room. So when I'm doing all the back end of it, that's when I'm actually really trying to apply Think, Set, Go myself, because sometimes there's elements of it that I'm like really not keen on. But the actual workshop facilitation, it's just like my natural state. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. And I guess that's like very much a transactional relationship as well, because you're seeing not obviously the fruits of your work and labour and things like that go in, but you're also getting the energy back of seeing the light bulbs go off, aren't you?
Yeah, and it's just funny because like sometimes I don't get the energy back. I'm like, okay, like it really, it's really testing, but it's the same as teaching. Yeah. And you just got to think, okay, what can I do differently? What can I do differently? And like it can be exhausting, but I think it's also important not to assume what people are thinking and not to assume how they're feeling, because I can get caught in a rut of worrying about that as opposed to like what the actual content is, what I'm trying to, like the outcomes I'm trying to meet here. Yeah. Because some people's faces look like they're not into it or not interested, and if I mind read that, then I could be way off. Yeah. Other people, they rock up one day and they're not in the mood for it. Next day they are. Like same as me. I'm going to take things in one day and then not another day. And if I start mind reading and assuming what people are thinking too much, I can go crazy. So. Yep.
Yeah. And I'm sure you're not alone in that sentiment. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your career journey has seen you complete a bachelor and a master's alongside teaching in the classroom. Can you please walk me through how you got started to now founding Think, Set, Go?
Yeah. So never ever did I intend to do this. My parents were actually both teachers, so I kind of grew up with having holidays with them and seeing my daddy, he was a PE teacher as well, and he would wear the shorts and the runners to work, and I was like, that's so cool. Like, I want to be able to just be casual when I go to work and have fun. And so that's kind of where my mindset was early on. I also learn a lot from them in terms of like what it's like as in the life of a teacher, in terms of, I knew there was correcting, and I knew there was like meetings, and I understood how school works. But when I moved into PE teaching at Star of the Sea College, I then saw this head of sport role, and I thought, oh, I really like that leadership role there too. Like, I like the management of the sporting organization or a school. And so that's when I did my master's in educational leadership, and that then gave me the head of sport role. And I loved that. That was long hours, but at least it was in sport, which I really loved. I then had kids. And so when I had my first child, that's when that was also lockdown, COVID. So then I just, then that all happened, and came back part-time, then had another child. And that's when I was like, I don't want to go back and do what I've been doing. So let's get going with something else. And prior to lockdown is when I played football I gave myself a goal to play at an elite level in sport. But that's when I had a lot of the barriers of the mental game. They all came up for me the more higher up I went in AFL Women's, and thought, okay, great. It's actually useful now that I've got that experience, my leadership experience, and a think, set, go idea. I'll pull it all together, and that's how it came along.
Fantastic. So I guess I just want to wind back a little bit. I'd like to delve a little bit deeper. So after COVID and after birth of your first child and things like that, what reason or what mindset, I guess, do you reason with in terms of now suddenly teaching not being the direction that you really want to go in? Like, what do you think would cause that for most people, having that sort of that forced break, even though it obviously was like a 1 in 100 years pandemic or whatever? But a lot of people may have to have like a forced break from work or sport or something like that, and then that gives them time to reevaluate. Why do you think that happens?
Yeah, I think it's because you get out of that routine. When you're in routine, it's like we want to be comfortable. So as humans, we look for ways to be comfortable. And then when you're put out of your normal routine, more than just your comfortability shifts, it's also you have to think of things differently. You start to see things differently. And having a baby, and especially my second, and being on maternity leave, I thought to myself, okay, here's actually a chance for me to redirect plans. I mean, I don't know necessarily why other people also feel that way. I just think it's because we've been forced to stop our routine. But I think it's powerful. And I think if you don't have something come up that forces you to shift your routine, then maybe just try and do something yourself, like just figure out a way to do things differently, to see things differently, just to reassess and just be like, yeah, this is what I want. Like, I do love this, or this is paying the bills and I can deal with it. Like, because a lot of the time it's money related too, because we have to actually get that income. But I think once we can understand, which is something I've been working on, that money is out there for the taking, it's just a measure of exchanging value, then it takes away the pressure that you can't make more or you can't get it from somewhere else. And once you can start to dibble and dabble into getting it from other places, you'll build trust in yourself and confidence that actually I can make money in this and that, and it takes off the pressure. But it depends how much you're earning. Like, I imagine for people earning lots and lots and lots, it would be scary to stop and do something else. But like I said with the basketball analogy, you take what you are good at, you take what you like from what you're currently doing, and you just try and find another route that that those things can be applied to as well. So it's about broadening your mind and understanding that there are so many opportunities out there. How can I just take what I'm doing well and put that somewhere else? It's about having the confidence to talk yourself up, but be honest about it. And like, really, it's not about feeling, that you're being untruthful. It's like, literally, what am I good at? And how can I sell this to someone to get a job in another field, or to experiment in other ways and do other things?
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense, Lauren. And I guess just winding back a little bit there, what you highlighted also there before was that pivotal moment of, if you're undergoing a forced break, and therefore the knock-on effect of that is that your routine is now broken. I guess going one step further than that is that if you have your routine that is now broken, perhaps that forces you to have to recalibrate or realign your own sense of perhaps self-value and what you would like to get out of your current trajectory in both life and work, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I guess it's like, is there a push or a pull here? Am I getting pushed into doing something, and is it a good or a bad push? Am I getting pulled into to doing something for someone else, and maybe that can also be a good thing or a bad thing? So it's like, where's the motivation coming from? I was reading something about a CIA agent was sharing 4 motivational, I guess, strategies or things that people adopt when they're trying to be motivated. And it was RICE is the acronym, and RICE is reward. So someone's either being pushed or pulled by a reward. What's the reward? What's the value in doing this? What am I going to get for it? Their ideology is the I. So what are their underlying beliefs? What do they want their life to be like? That could be religion. That could just be stuff that they've believed for many years, and whether that's right or wrong, it's just a fundamental belief that they have. It could be C, which is in RICE, that's coercion. Are they being manipulated? Is there a threat? Is there a guilt applied to this? Is that what's motivating them? Or is it ego? So ego being not a bad thing necessarily. Ego just being, how do I want others to perceive me? So that RICE acronym is about, what are the motivators for someone to do something? And by shifting one of these, people will end up doing things whether they do or don't like it. And so that's why it's important to know what you do and don't like, so you can find out if you're being motivated in a positive or negative way.
No, that's a serious drop of knowledge there. Thank you, Laura. I've never personally heard of RICE before, so thank you very much. I'm sure a lot of people will be even watching this now, just furiously typing on the keyboard or on the phone. It's like RICE, and hopefully they don't get too much.
I love stuff like that, because you can visualize it, like you can picture it. Oh, okay, and then you know what to tweak.
Yeah, well, that's right. Especially when you led with the fact that it's like a CIA agent. that usually gets a lot of people's attention, especially these days. But yeah, so I guess that flows right into this next question of mine, where transitioning out of teaching, talking about these breaks, has really allowed you to research and develop your brand of, like, your personal brand of mindset education, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's cool. It is nice. I actually did say to myself, like, I want to really get to know some area of knowledge. Like, it was an intentional thing. I said, this is something that I've noticed over the years makes or breaks me, the headspace I'm in. And like with the football career I was telling you about, it broke me. Like, that's what made me not enjoy the sport. And I thought, wow, this is so powerful. If we can just, and mental health, it's not always like I need to see a doctor, I need to see a psychologist. It's just taking control of your own mental well-being. And when I focus on goal pursuit because it's quite specific. So it's like, here are some really great ideas on how to shift how you think when you are trying to pursue something, because we often can put barriers in place that are made up. And it's really quite an easy thing to identify. That's just a made up imaginary thing. We're really good at visualizing things, but sometimes we're not visualizing the best things. We're visualizing the worst things. So it's a really easy one for me to jump on So I've been trying to just kind of like gather information on, those 3 components. What's the best way to think in this situation? How can we change that? How can we set ourselves up better? And how can we go and do what needs to be done, even if we don't want to? And I love just having that framework for my own research, because it's just like everything I learn is going to fit into one of those components.
Yeah, and it's nice as human beings, we do like squares to fit in the squares and triangles to fit in the triangles, don't we? Especially mentally. Yeah.
Just it makes it easier to remember. It makes it easier to like get things done. I think any kind of framework you can design for yourself will just give you more chance for success.
Yeah, and just having structure, isn't it? I guess that's a fairly big underlying key.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So speaking about AFLW as well, like many of the values that you take with you to this day came from your experience of competing at the highest level in AFLW. So for everyone watching not knowing, what's that?
I didn't compete in the highest level. I was only competing in the VFL.
Yep.
And this is the thing. This is where I really believed, like, what I started to focus on is what limited me in reaching the next level.
Oh, okay. Very good. Yep.
And that's why I think Set Go fills that gap, because I think it was mental.
Yeah.
Like, I really believe that I had the skills, or I could learn the skills.
Yep.
The physical skills. I believe I had the support. I believe I had the knowledge.
Yep.
But I didn't have the resilience or the frameworks to get myself out of unhelpful thinking habits.
Yep.
Or like, just I took it too seriously in a way where it just took the fun out of it. So it was definitely a mental game.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess in that period of your life then, and from learning new skills and I guess seeing this desire to support others, they would be among like some of the bigger values of this time that has really propelled you towards Think, Set, Go, I would imagine. Is that correct?
Yes, and I think that's why I'm so passionate about it, because it's what I felt like I needed. And I know that a lot of athletes, no matter what level they're at, they understand what I'm talking about when I say the physical skills are one thing, but the mental game is completely different. Sometimes the coach isn't the person that you can go to comfortably to talk about this. Some coaches are not trained in understanding this, which is another area that I want to support, so that coaches can share this stuff with as many of their athletes as they can. But it's not so easy just for an athlete to go and share these worries that they have with their coaching team, simply because of other pressures that they feel might come with it in terms of selection, people's opinion of them. Generally, people that are high performers have high expectations, and that is why they perform high. But it can also have that flip side of not wanting to look like they're struggling, or not wanting to look like there are barriers mentally, because it can be seen still as a weakness, even in this day and age when we are openly talking about the value of looking after your mental health. When it comes to something like sport, I imagine in performance, musical instruments, playing, on stage, that mental game is what's going to give people the edge. And it can make the big difference between someone who's highly skilled and being successful, and someone who's highly skilled and not being successful. It's that mental game. So yeah, absolutely. And that's very, very pertinent distinction, that's for sure. What do you highlight as a key motivation that you would say that both you as Lauren Munday and your experiences and now Think, Set, Go share? So what are the
a key motivation. What do you highlight that both you as the as Think, Set, Go as an organisation, and you yourself share as a key motivation?
I like to pursue goals.
Yep.
And just to see, like, just to kind of milk life, right? And just see what else we can do and what else I can like experience. But I do hold myself back at the same time. And that's why I think Set, Go is designed as mindset education for goal pursuit. It's actually GAME, goal achievement mindset education is what I call it, because it's GAME, goal achievement mindset education. And it's because I like achieving goals, but it's the mindset education that I needed. So I'm actually very much embedded in Think, Set, Go and need to probably step out more and actually say, this is not for me anymore. Well, it is actually. Everything I talk about, I try and adopt for myself, but this is what I'm offering to others. And I hope to one day have other facilitators also sharing this, because that way we can grow. And I have had other beautiful facilitators jump in and help me out, like a lady called Joanne Ritson. She was kind of, she's very much a PE teacher, but she's working for Hockey Australia now. And she came in and she helped me with all the processes behind it, because I found she's really helped me align it to the curriculum and also primary, because I have the secondary background. So she has been what I didn't have my strengths in. She came in and helped me there. So whilst Think, Set, Go is very much me, and it was secondary at the start and for athletes, it's now, because of the support I've had from Joe and other people, a primary education program and all curriculum aligned. So Think, Set, Go has moved from just being what I thought to having the input from others. And another person is Jeremy from Proactivity. He has a company that like does a lot of different sports and different activities with students. And he and I now collaborate and we do Going for Goals. So it's like the mindset stuff combined with his high intensity challenges to make Think, Set, Go more than just what I could have done on my own. So it does align with me, but it's because of these other people infiltrating, it's making it stronger and more broad and better.
Yeah, that's right. And you'd literally be going from strength to strength with the more like minds that get on board, essentially. I think that would be safe to say.
Yeah, or even like minds, but with different strengths.
Yep.
And I've been doing a few courses in that to find out what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, so that in business I know where it's best to delegate or where it's best to get someone else's input, so that I'm not just seeing it through my own lens.
Yeah, and that's right. And that's, that having those different perspectives that come from obviously different people, but more importantly, their different range of their own personal experiences, it just all coalesces into something that's really unique. And speaking of unique, like hearing all of this that you've been sharing with us today, Lauren, it is clear that Think, Set, Go is a unique initiative. Does anything spring to mind on how you do things differently than, like, as compared to other sort of similar programs that might be available to schools?
Yes. So when I actually present workshops or the program itself, it's divided into the three components of teaching people how to shift perspective, which can be done through discussion, sharing the research, getting students to see videos that kind of make them realize, oh, that's what she's talking about. Or if it can also be for adults. So some teacher PD can also support the adult in their own life, not just in their teaching. So the think stuff really gets people to put things into perspective or see, can I change how I'm looking at this? And even if I do some magic tricks, I do some things that really get people to think differently. The set component is usually written tasks. So I like the idea that they're writing, not typing, but like writing with a pen, because that way they're like, it's changing that neurological pathway, the way that they're interpreting and then putting onto paper really can cement the information or get them to reflect differently to typing. So I get them to do some written tasks, reflection for set, and then, or that could also be planning ahead. So how are we going to actually get this stuff into our life now? And then the go component, what I'm trying to do is encourage people to put themselves into the position of feeling what it's like. Okay, so when I get into this stress feeling, when I get into under pressure, when these obstacles arise, how can I actually, my dog keeps sneezing. I don't know if you can hear that.
No, I can't actually, but there you go.
And then the go component, yeah, it's like how to actually do what needs to be done. And I usually, when I'm doing my workshops, that's all games and activities that get the students to be immersed, or the teachers to be immersed in it. They feel that, oh, that's what she's talking about. And then that creates a memory that they'll hopefully then remember when they go out into the real world and they're putting up with these pressures and stresses, and they're like, now I've got some tools. I've been there before. We did this, this, and this. Let's actually apply it now. So I think what gives it a difference is my PE background, and the activities are really hands-on, yet everything is related to the person themselves.
And that's right. As you mentioned there too, it's easy for any sort of programs, but in more so, especially ones like this, about basically setting goals and attaining goals and positive mindsets and elements like that, where you definitely feel the energy as a participant when you're inside the four walls of such a program. But it's hard because you walk out of the building, you hop in the car, and someone next to you runs a red light or something like that, and you just go, and it's just so very hard, isn't it, to break that final frontier of trying to do your utmost as an educator or anyone facilitating these sessions to be able to make sure that, or give yourself the best chance of making sure that these lessons can be applied in the real world, isn't it?
Yes, the transference of the information into the real world is key. And this is why sometimes these one-off workshops, they're like fun for the moment, but they don't mean anything. So a lot of the time I'm trying to do workshops that carried over a period of time, and I can come back in and hit the mark when it's needed. And the flexibility in that allows teachers to remember, let's get things set going now because we've got this coming up and we need that, or we've got this happening, this thing happened to our students and we really want to get them back in the best headspace. So the program is flexible for that purpose, and multiple sessions is ideal, but the set component and having that kind of workbook can be something that can be used. Even the actual book that I wrote, which is this one here, this can be used because it's basically got, I think, a set and a go component, and it gives the students something to physically write in the moment. This is how I'm feeling. This is what I could do. This may or may not work, but it gets them to they could take that home with them and then use it when they need it. And if they're not going to do that, that's fine. What I want to do is allow people to understand the more that they learn this content, the better. So even though I might learn something awesome whilst I'm researching this, it doesn't mean it's going to stay in my head when I need it. But the more that I reread it or re-see it or go over it, the more it will stay in my head. So the first thing would be, say you are in that position of driving in your car after you've just learned something really good about how to stay calm. You then go and drive in your car and someone cuts you off. Bang, you go back to your natural state, your natural habit. But just noticing that you did that, I just did the opposite to what I've just learned. I just went into my craziness state instead of my relaxed state. That's already a key. That's already a step in the right direction. The more that you pick up on that, the more you'll pick it up before you go and do it. So it's just about repetition of the concepts and putting yourself into situations again and again so that you can start to respond differently. And that's why I use the games component in the go section when I'm teaching it.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So that's where that connects. Okay. Yeah. That does make perfect sense. So going a little bit deeper, because we've definitely been sort of touching on and around the actual framework of Think, Set, Go. Now, it's obviously something that you're proud of, and rightly so. Are you able to share a bit more of the framework itself? And I know we've touched on several aspects of it now, but just from a beginning to a middle to an end of essentially the framework of, if I was like attending one of your sessions, what would it essentially consist of?
So yeah, depending on the theme or the reason for the session can kind of sway the way that I teach it. So say it was just a goal pursuit. Say we've got year 12s, they've got exams, they've got a lot of pressure. They're also trying to think what they want to do after school. just understanding that they have the power to shift how they think about something, how they set something up in their life, like their routines, and how they take action and do what needs to be done, even if they don't want to. Just simply knowing that basic, do I have to change how I think, set, or go here, could be enough. So they could listen to nothing else and just know, maybe I need to just change how I'm thinking about this, or change a routine or a habit. Like maybe I just need to get out of bed 5 minutes earlier just to give myself more time so I'm not rushed, or little things like that. One simple shift could make a huge difference, right? So there's either the basics of just that framework, or we can go into a theme like resilience, and then we look at how think, set, and go applies to resilience. An example of that might be, I've just done a heap of content and program here with Mentone Grammar down my way, and we did a think component, which was like a whole year level workshop seminar. And that's where we talked about, I showed some visuals, like, for example, bouncing a tennis ball and how it comes back up. But if I was to poke a hole in it so no longer bounces, would it still be resilient? Would it still bounce back? Then I bounce it. I get them to all vote before that, and it does bounce back. It's fine. So a visual like that for the think component, and we do a whole lot of discussion on, what are some things that you've experienced where you kind of talked yourself out of it, or you talked yourself into it. We look at both. We share stories. Then I might also share stories like, for example, how cornflakes were made, and the idea that you learn from things that there's always an opportunity in things that might go wrong. So the cornflake story, if you don't know it, was basically two brothers, Kellogg's brothers, were they created health foods, and one day they had some wheat berries, what it was called, and they boiled it, but they'd forgotten about it. So when they went back the next day to have a look at it, it was completely different texture. They ended up flattening it out, and it created flakes. So they tried to create one thing, it stuffed up. They then created flakes, took it to their clients, and their customers loved it. And that's how cornflakes were made, by something that was never meant to be made. So I share stories like, and then, it depends, if it was athletes, it would be more athlete based. But then the set component with Mentone Grammar, for example, I left them with the workbook, and they've been chipping away at the workbook throughout their tutor group time, their mentor time.
Oh, okay.
So that's just a resource for the teachers. And then I came back and we just did a full day of workshops of the go component. So it was all physical activities, and also sensory activities. So anything that gets the students to work as a team, or think creatively, or like I do like things like Play-Doh and building blocks, and using objects like tarps and hula hoops, stuff they can feel.
Yep.
And that's where the go component fits. So there's two different ways that I would teach the content.
Yeah, that's right, because there's different elements of how a person can be best suited to learning, and one of those is definitely tactile, isn't it? And those physical objects can really, really, really assist in hopefully creating a bit of a fresh garden bed for not only taking in the information, but further growth on their own.
Yes, and I think as teachers, we do learn how people learn best. But as students, we sometimes just wait to be told how we're going to learn. If a student can learn how they learn best, or even an adult, if an adult can understand how they're best going to learn, and they start just doing it that way, it will take out a whole lot of guessing work. And so for example, I am someone who needs to physically do the thing. I want to write and I want to go and do the thing. So you could tell me stuff as much as you like, but it's probably going to come in and go out. Whereas other people, all they need is that to be told, and then they'll understand the concept. They'll understand what they need to do. We know that as teachers, that's how you teach. But I think if a student can understand how they learn best, then that's the life skill. And a lot of what I do is try to teach the life skill that will then help them as adults. So yeah, there's a lot of crossover between what I learn as a teacher and trying to teach that to students, so that they learn how they best learn. So then they're not always relying on someone else to feed that back.
Absolutely. Now, you touched on before deciding on what themes that are going to be contingent on the workshops that you run. How do you decide on what themes are going to be either appropriate for a school or a student group or something like that, or essentially going to be best bang for their mental buck? Like, how do you decide which themes to go with?
That's where it's a lot of communication with the teacher. So
Yep.
I already know from 15 years of teaching where I feel that gaps are. And some of the gaps I've noticed might be in, we need our students to do certain assignments, projects, meet certain deadlines, but we don't necessarily support them in how to continue to progress. So we look for the progress, but we haven't taught them how to progress. So that's kind of where I see it fitting. But a lot of the work that teachers are also through these conversations are saying, it's like, not it's taking responsibility. How do we teach a student the value of taking responsibility, which could be for their stuff, it could be for their friendships, it could be for themselves, it could be for their learning. So how do we take responsibility is one of the topics, like persistence and perspective and goal setting and resilience. They're all, and mindset, they're all terms that through the conversations I've had with teachers have become like an obvious theme. So, but it does fit into many categories, think, set, go.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, with school communities in mind, so we're talking not only teaching staff and students, but even office administration staff, maintenance staff, but even more so the entire community that's consisting of like parent groups, guardians, entire families, students that have attended the school in the past and have a few going through the system as we speak. What is the focal aim in what Think Set Go provides to schools, do you think?
So where I see it is it's creating versatile people. So no matter what age, the slogan for Think Set Go is adapt your mind to get the edge. So the edge is whatever you want it to be. The edge is what you're trying to do. The edge is what you want in life. The edge is, your goals. But adapting your mind is the skill that I'm trying to teach. And that's why it can fit anywhere, because a versatile mind, being able to adapt and adjust to what's going on and keep your eye on what you want out of it, the outcome you're hoping for, those two things aligned will create unstoppable people that, really do see life as opportunity as opposed to problems and, a negative view of the world. I guess what I'm just hoping is that if we can encourage people to learn these skills of persistence and patience and teamwork and, that they have the ability to shift their mindset, can you imagine just like the opportunities that will open up to them? And that's where it all kind of stems from. And that's what I'm hoping that will be passed on through the program.
Very well said, Lauren. You can tell that what you've said comes from a place of not only deep experience, but deep empathy for people who have experiences like challenges that you have, but are also going one step further to be able to provide solutions and guidance to those people. So, no, very well said. Thank you. Now, you are currently on the lookout to connect with primary and secondary schools, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's only so many. It kind of started out that I was working with the network I already had. So teachers I knew that were moving from school to school. And it's good because teachers move a lot from school to school. So I was able to like move my way into a few different schools with this program. But like, I love it when people find out about it and really want it. And it's not something that I've tried to say, oh, you should have this. I want them to really hear about it, read about it, see it, and say, I understand the value in that. So that's where we're going to make a bigger impact, when teachers see exactly what I'm trying to say. So podcasts like this are really important because I can get that across. Sometimes in advertising or, sharing a picture, I can't quite share what I'd like them to understand about the program. So yeah, anyone who this resonates with, even if you're in business and you have a team, I'm not working just with students. I am working across the board, but I do have a passion for the young people. So yeah, primary and secondary students, so that we can develop adults with this type of this type of, what do you call it? Mindsets.
Yeah, no, that's right. And it's interesting because it's all pertinent thinking patterns, isn't it? Because it's not like there's solid breaks of like, okay, I'm a student with this mindset. Okay, I'm a university student with this different mindset. Okay, I'm an adult with a mortgage with this mindset. They're not segregated, are they? They all knock on and influence each other.
Yeah, that's why school can get tricky, because some of the subjects, students are like, when will I have to use this? Well, it's not the content you'll have to use, it's the skill to learn the content that you'll have to use. So it's trying to reframe school and reframe friendship issues into actually you're learning how to relate to someone that's different to you. You're learning how to solve a problem with people who have different understandings of things. Those skills are invaluable as adults. So yes, they're great as kids, but usually there's like a support network around the child that can kind of keep them on track, like a what do you call those games that we used to play that do you know what I'm talking about, where you like ping pong with things and then it keeps everyone on track?
Yeah, I do.
Well, yeah, and then as adults you lose all that buffer and you're just kind of on your own. So if we can kind of take some of that, we kind of give kids a bit more understanding that they can make decisions, that will carry through to the adults.
Yeah, very well said. What is the best way for people to reach out and keep up to date with you, Lauren?
So I'm very active on LinkedIn, Lauren Munday, or I've also got a page, Think Set Go, on LinkedIn, Instagram, and really just email me, info@thinksetgo.com.au, and my website, thinksetgo.com. It's the same thing, www.thinksetgo.com.au. Any of those platforms would be great.
Oh, look, fantastic. Well, Lauren Munday, thank you very much for being on the Schoolyard Cast. This has been an absolutely fantastic and, dare I say, invigorating chat. It's been really, really good.
Oh, good. Thank you so much. I loved it. Thank you.